This is my 1971 Scout 800 that we've had for a little while in the garage. Done a couple episodes on it now, cutting out a ton of the rust, and then we decided to go ahead and start doing a lot of the suspension. Keeping it simple, platform, but I just went with a real, what I thought to be easy, leaf spring platform. Done Toyota leaf springs, factory rears in the back, and then did a set of leaf springs in the front, trying to counter for the weight balance of the engine, and definitely turned into more of a process than I was expecting with those leaf springs. Not the easiest thing when you're trying to get everything measured out just right and make sure everything's square, but nevertheless, we got the axles back under it in place, and they're all just kind of hanging underneath of there, and we kind of got it to that roller platform almost. Now since then, it's clearly been collecting a lot of stuff. I've just been throwing stuff around it, on top of it, in it. It's become storage. I picked up a set of roller wheels and tires, different than what you might have seen on the last episode. Those 15-inch wheels did not fit my front axle brake calipers. I should have known that. Wasn't even thinking about it. So I got a new set of roller wheels. We're gonna go around this thing and just kind of button up all the loose ends. All the bolts are in it, but some don't even have nuts. They're just kind of loose, hanging out there. We haven't really started on the brake system at all, nothing on the steering system. So let's just kind of get back to it, kind of refresh myself on where I need to be, tightening up those bolts, get a lot of parts figured out so we can at least get them coming so we can really start cramming on this thing. Let's get back into it, get the loose ends tightened up on this thing, get some rollers on it, maybe some brakes, maybe some steering. We'll see where we land, and then who knows, maybe we'll have a shot at actually putting this thing back on the road sometime soon, maybe sooner than later. I don't know. Quick order of business, we pulled diff covers when we were first taking a look at this thing just to see what was inside of those axles and what we were working with. To our surprise, pretty good. It's got brand new 455 gears in there. 455 gears in.
What an idiot! Oh, what a loser!
With lockers. So that's cool, but we don't want to put it outside and put it back open to the elements. So I have already cleaned that thing up. We do have a diff cover for it. Let's go ahead and get that cleaned up, bolt it back on here, maybe throw a little fresh paint on it so it don't get any rustier than it already is. That's taken 3 days to dry because it is sunny out, but it's cold. It's frigid. Paint don't like cold. But in the meantime, let's start going around and just kind of double checking where our bolts stand, what needs to be tightened up. Let's tighten it up. Does it need longer bolts? Will we get them? Probably not. Now, at one point in time, I'm pretty sure I had all the hardware, but now it's gonna be a little bit of a crapshoot. Finding where I put it or where I stuck it, or did I even have it? I still need to buy that. Also, you might be wondering what this thing is. I haven't tracked down my powertrain yet as far as the motor. I've got a couple ideas. Originally, I wanted LS. I think I'm gonna stick with that. That's kind of what I want. This is an MV 3500. A lot of you are probably gonna say, oh man, you should have went with the MV 4500. Maybe, but this one came up online, was the correct year that I was looking for. I think I can adapt it behind an LS, or if I ended up for some reason having to go 350 small block route, it'll bolt right up. While they're not as tough as the MV 4500, especially for having the 1-ton axles and the off-roading, I'm willing to give it a shot because the price was right. It was a whole lot cheaper than what people want for an MV 4500. And also, I've heard that they shift really nice and really smooth. And I want this thing to be an awesome driver on the road as well as off the road. I was willing to take the risk. If something happens, if it doesn't stand up, whatever, then we'll change it out, down the road and I'll go a different route. But for right now, I'm pretty excited to run this transmission setup and keep it a manual and have that 5-speed. So I got that overdrive, good highway cruising. All right, looks like our diff cover's dry enough, so slap some goop on it, RTV, and let's throw the bolts in it and get it snugged up in place. So I was mentioning earlier that I got some different wheels and tires, because the wheels and tires that I had gotten were a 15-inch. They were just a cheap beadlock wheel, nothing special. These were some 16.5s that I had laying out back, but I only had 2 of them. The other 2 didn't have tires. So anyway, so we'll yank these suckers off. That'll give us access to tighten up our U-bolts a little bit better. And then we'll throw on our good rollers and actually put this thing off the jack stands and back on its own weight. Whoa. Those bad girls look sick, huh? Nevertheless, they're gonna work for what we're doing, so that's pretty good. We got most of the rear end buttoned up, most of the front end buttoned up, minus a couple U-bolts that I gotta run into town because not thinking when I was ordering all these suspension parts. 2 of those on the passenger side are a wider width because they go around the differential on that front axle. So I gotta run in and go get those before I can totally assemble that. Okay, after a ton of research online, because Scout 800s do not have a lot of parts available for them. Scout 2s, all over the place. You can get anything you want for a Scout 2. So we got the master cylinder for the clutch done, but the one that was in here for the brakes was super old, crusty, seized up, so I knew I needed a new one. This is 1-inch bore master cylinder out of a 79 Ford F100. I just did a whole lot of looking online and kind of comparing with the parts stores and everything, trying to get the size that I wanted just right. Now it's pretty darn close to fitting. Bolt holes don't look too far off, but it is hitting the fender well right in this area, just a little too long. And the bolt holes look close. Brake line fittings, not so much. We're gonna have to make those work. Not that big of a deal. We've got some stuff coming. As far as the bolt size, that looks great. So I think I'm gonna clearance that fender just a little bit, give it a little wrinkle in it so it'll sit down flat, and then we'll see how our bolt holes look. Now, if I have any purists watching this channel right now with weak stomachs, now's when you're gonna wanna look away. Okay, our bolt holes aren't quite right. I'm just a little off width-wise. I'm close, but I'm not quite there. So I think I'm just gonna try to either die grind or take just a little bit off these bolt holes in the outside directions, and that should get our spacing just a little bit further apart. I'm gonna try not to oblong the hole out, just try to run it out directional, but easier said than done. Kind of quick and dirty, not perfect. I probably should have done a lot of that when I had that plate out doing the master cylinder, but that's all right. Can always change it down the road. Now we got a master cylinder, so you just gotta change out our fittings here to match our new master cylinder fittings, because these aren't the correct size, but that'll get us whipped into shape. Our master cylinder is in. We got a bunch of bolts tightened up, got tires and wheels on the Scout, but now I'm back to holding for parts. So I'm getting a little sidetracked here. We got plenty of projects laying around, so rather than just sitting around twiddling my thumbs, I think I'm gonna back one of these out of the garage, bring our old trusty 65 van back in. I don't know if you guys seen that episode with Travis where we went out to super cool old rustic tavern.
Leave it to Shay. Thought you were cramming all night on this bad boy.
This van is kind of just perfect because it looks the part and it runs the part now too. The van started running on 5, 4, I don't know, not all 6 cylinders. I did a couple quick things while we were on the road and at the bar, and well, we drove it all the way out there and all the way back, and it never fixed itself. Let's fire that thing up, get it back into the garage, and see if we can diagnose what's going on, hopefully quick and easy. Okay, I'd like to rule out this moisture in the tank or water in the tank. So I'm gonna run it through some checks just to make sure that I'm not chasing down something that it really isn't, because condensation can set up inside of here with expansion and science. So I'm gonna run through, maybe take a look at our exhaust, make sure that I don't have a colder side of the exhaust port, make sure I don't have any misfires. I'm gonna go through and do some checks before I dive 100% into this water and the fuel, because I do have half a tank of fuel, so I'd hate to pour that out. Okay, spark seems to be checking out fine, which I kind of expected. So now I'm gonna go ahead and pull the valve cover, since it's fairly easy to get to. Digging around for that later. And see how our valve train is operating and make sure I don't have a valve not working. Definitely stinks of fuel. So now let's pull this clip off of here, off my coil, keep her from firing, and let's just see what we got going on here. I don't notice anything obvious on the valve train. Looks like it's operating the way it should be. I don't think I got an issue there. Maybe I just have bad fuel. But that seems hard to believe. Well, there you have it. Unfortunately, our poor little van has developed low compression in that #1 cylinder. So that's a bummer. I was really hoping it was an easy fix, especially with how it just kind of came on so sudden, which could be maybe a piston ring cracked on us or something. I'm gonna pour a little oil in there. I'm kind of curious to see if it is piston or if it's valves, but let's pour a little oil into it and see if our compression jumps up, and then we know. But doesn't look like it's going to be an easy fix at this point. You guys can see that on there, but it just did a big jump to 150. And so that is typically a pretty good sign that our piston rings, or at least something in our bottom end with piston, has got something going on. That oil kind of coats around the cylinder wall, pumps the pressure back up, so I know it's not in the cylinder head, more than likely in the bottom end. So that's a bummer. This was such a sweet running little engine, but something decided it didn't want to keep on ticking. Well guys, there you have it. Not a ton of work, but at least we're making progress. We're making headway. The Scout is heading in the right direction. We made a little bit of reverse progress on the van. Probably gonna end up putting a new motor in it or sell it. I don't know. Whatever one comes first. We got parts on the way, so hopefully we'll be getting some more stuff done on the Scout very soon. I do want to get it on the road sooner than later, but we'll see what we can fit in. We got a few other projects lined up. We got a lot of stuff coming in and out, and I change my mind constantly, so who knows what's going to get my attention next. As always, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you're enjoying the episodes. If you are, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the bell in the corner. That way you're getting notified when our newest episodes are coming up. Till next time, guys. Thanks.